So, everybody, welcome here. This is H1Z1 Dead Feature Rant. On my screen right is Dygz, who's been back. This is, I think, your third or fourth time back here, which is awesome. I can't remember. I lose count because you've also been on Live Feature Rant.
Right.
But Dygz is an awesome member of the just the general SOE community, Landmark and H1Z1, and even worked with Dave Georgeson and some other people in the past. So.
Yep.
Yeah, cool stuff. And Chip, this is your first time on here, so
Yes, it is.
why don't we actually probably have both of you give a little bit of your info. Chip, why don't you talk about some of your background with MMOs and zombie survival games and SOE and all that stuff in general?
Well, I've been playing MMO games since I think it was Genesis system, or not Genesis, Dreamcast. Was it Star Fantasy? Fantasy Star?
Fantasy Star Online.
Yeah,
I loved that game.
That was my first MMO. Then I moved to the computer. I went to Star Wars Galaxies, and it went on from there. I went to so many different games. I played WoW for years. Played that game in alpha for a year. Then I played it for probably about a good 4 years. Then I stopped and I came back like everyone does. And I can't even name all the MMOs I've tried. Most of them they're not too good. It was just a waste of money. But overall, that's what I've been doing for at least MMO side. I've been gaming ever since Atari, which I still own my original Atari.
Nice.
And I got it in a box, got like 50 games with it, and still the original joystick, which I don't know if it even still works. I just keep it for a collector's thing.
Gotcha.
But I've been playing since that time, and I've been my whole life. I don't plan on stopping.
Cool deal.
I really didn't get into SOE stuff until I got into Landmark. I mean, I really didn't check out a lot of the SOE games. I finally checked out their MMO game, EverQuest 2. I played that a little bit, and that's actually a pretty good game. But how many games can a person really play, you know? That's kind of what it comes down to. You play one MMO, you're on that game for a long time if it's good.
Yeah, if it's good.
Yeah, that problem is most of them ain't good. You play it for a month, you're like, I wasted my damn money.
Oh wow, you have way more patience with MMOs than I do. At this point, like, I can be over an MMO just as quick as I can be over a Flash web game. It's just the install time that's a little bit bigger.
So, a little.
Just a little. I mean, with the internet being so fast and me usually just going AFK or doing something else during the downloads, it's kind of arbitrary one way or the other. So I see a comment here that I do want to mention about Daisy is too much like Shaun of the Dead, not like Dawn of the Dead. Wants hordes of zombies, not random stragglers. Look like drunk homeless guys straggling around. So there's actually another zombie film, Juan of the Dead. It was actually made in Cuba, in Havana. It's a really awesome film. And it's very similar to Shaun of the Dead in many ways, even though the filmmaker actually didn't intend for that initially. But the entire time, they think the zombies are just political dissidents because, you know, it's a big thing out there. So they don't really have a lot of zombie movies, so people don't know what a zombie is or how to identify one. Meanwhile, they just, you know, all these people causing havoc everywhere. They just think they're a bunch of counter-revolutionaries. So it's a really entertaining movie, and the one guy who kind of knows that it is zombies and I won't spoil it. Watch the movie at some point. It's funny. So that's really cool that you've been gaming for. Did you actually have the one of the programming books for the Atari?
Not for the Atari. My first programming I did was actually on the green screen when the computer was just as green screen, and all it was all text.
Yes.
The first game I played, which they made a movie about it, and I actually have it on my DVR too. That Galaxy one, I can't remember the name of it. Well, it is like a text, like you go this place, you go in a house, you got to get out of the house before the house crumbles, and that's the kind of games I played. We had to read and type, run this way, walk that way, pick up that water, and you didn't see a picture on the screen.
Right.
Then I got Atari, and I was like, whoa, I got a picture, I got Pac-Man, I can chomp on something.
Yeah. Oh man. I saw somebody make a remake of Super Hexagon with text only. It's Super Textagon. You have to read real quick and type what position you want to move to. It's funny as hell. Last Starfighter, was that it? That could have. No, it was that was. I think you might be thinking earlier than Last Starfighter.
Yeah, I forgot the name of it. It's like I forgot. The world comes to an end, and he goes up in space with his buddy, and they made a movie about it. And I've watched the movie so many times. I have to go pull up my DVR just so I get the damn name of it.
Sure. Cool deal. All right, and of course, Dygz, you've like I mentioned, you've got quite a bit of experience with SOE and even some of the people that work there. So, why don't you just kind of give a little recap of that for the folks here?
Yeah, I got into MMOs while I was working at Activision. Jens Anderson told me that I should start playing EverQuest, and so I did, along with most other people at Activision, and that was a lot of fun. I was looking forward to EverQuest 2. Most of the Activision guys were into World of Warcraft, so I only played EverQuest 2 for a couple of months before switching over to joining a guild with an Activision guild with World of Warcraft, and then I just switched back and forth between the two. And I'm not a big competitive or PvP guy, so the idea of a survival game doesn't really thrill me. The closest I've gotten to zombie games was Vampire the Masquerade. But it's the story. It's the story for H1Z1 that really is reining me in. And I'm interested to see what the rule set servers are going to be like. And I think I saw something on Reddit a couple days ago where somebody was complaining about people wanting Care Bear servers or something like that. It should only be hardcore. If you don't want to play hardcore, you just shouldn't play. But I mean, it's going to be kind of interesting to be able to vote on different rule sets. So there's a few things that actually have me intrigued about playing H1Z1, and then there's just going to be the community kind of playing with the same guys that we're used to from Landmark. This could be a interesting thing to have a community of streamers where you just go from game to game. I don't know, that's going to be interesting.
The betrayal would be the hilarious part when somebody kills somebody else, because it's all live, and even if there's dual streams or multi-streams, it's like, oh, you just killed me, blah blah blah, and then the drama that ensues in the comedy, and hopefully just comedy.
Hopefully,
I think it would be a lot of fun seeing that sort of stuff. I definitely, I'm sure there's going to be streamers hunting other streamers.
Oh yeah.
I probably will be one of them.
Oh, nice.
I plan to.
I'm hoping we can find some streamer rivalries, and that'll just become part of the lore.
Yeah, well, actually, that is. I mean, we are the content in the game, so that definitely makes sense. We're the ones that are kind of driving the conflict going on that server.
Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping.
Nice.
That's the scary part to me is I'm hoping that enough of the people that I'm connecting with now will want to be on the same server. That we'll find the same server that we like.
Or the other thing could be just switching from server to server every week just to try the different rule sets, because honestly, the amount of time it takes to go from starting to having a place built up and being able to farm, if you're a coordinated group that knows what you're doing, it's probably not going to take that long, because on the inverse, it doesn't take that long for all of that to be destroyed and swept away to the dust. So high turnover rates, I feel like, are going to be one of the hallmarks of the game. If you've got some structure that lasts for a month, that's a serious landmark in the game.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I still don't quite understand how that's all going to work while we're sleeping or at work.
Yeah.
yeah, that will suck.
I think that's a rule set thing. Chip, what were you saying?
No, it kind of sucked, like when you're not there and something happens because you're not there, because it's always an active world. Stuff's always going on.
Yeah.
And if you're the owner and you're not there, that means somebody can move in. Well, if someone moves in and takes over your camp, that would suck.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm still trying to figure out what happens when you log out in your bed in your house, and then you log back in. Your house isn't there, your bed isn't there, it's all been destroyed, it's all been burnt away. You just log in. Do you even log in there, or are you automatically dead? So that's the sort of stuff. I think that's going to come down to rule sets a little bit. Not just
Who's
with
that sleeping in my bed? It's not even your bed anymore.
yeah.
Yeah, you log in, somebody else is living there, and he stabs you as soon as you log in. My house.
Yeah, or you log in, there's just barbed wire around your bed. Good luck, guys. Should be
That would
interesting.
suck.
And then, of course, with like the bed logout mechanics, how many people to a bed is it? Is the bed just the point by which one can, vector in and out of the world, or is it one person or maybe two to a bed, and then it's reached its limit?
We'll have to ask the devs that question. How many people to a bed?
I want a heart. A lot of people going to be sleeping in my bed with me. The party bed.
Yeah. Cool deal.
That is a question, though. I wonder how that's going to work. Does everybody have to make their own bed, and that's your bed?
Yeah, and if that's even going to be the system. See, we're getting some jokers up in here.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right, let's continue along here. So, I mean, I've got a big old pile of notes and stuff front and back here, so we can definitely start going through some of this stuff. And of course, if you guys have any other stuff, of course, feel free to chime in or we got plenty of time here. So, tie a rope between two trees to pull them both down. That was just one of the random things I was thinking about watching the trees being chopped down, because the impact of the trees being struck is going to be just about as loud an impact or heat impacting, I would say, as the tree itself falling over, because it's multiple repetitive strikes. So I don't know if it's the sort of thing that would actually make sense to do, like tying a rope between two trees and kind of cranking it and cranking it and cranking it until they both kind of start to bow from the weight of it and kind of collapse on each other. It's more of a, I guess, low-tech way of doing things, but it's also a way of being able to take trees down without even having an axe.
So what would you be doing? I don't understand.
It's basically you've got two trees, however far apart, and you're tying a rope kind of between the two, and then kind of tying it off like a tourniquet, like wrenching it in the middle or doing something to create more and more tension so that the trees get pulled closer and closer and closer till they're just
hands.
Well, it would be maybe like a one or a two person sort of thing, or you'd have a like a big old log or something stuck in the middle of the rope that you can use to kind of twist it down.
Okay, that works in the real world?
Yeah.
I've never seen it done.
Okay.
I would have a tree out with a truck.
Yeah, I
That's
bet.
what I'm thinking. I'm thinking truck.
That could be a lot of fun.
But
the cracking of the wood be at least as loud as the axe. You're probably right, Krona. You're probably right. The soil would have to be really soft.
I think it'd be the same kind of like heat either way. And it's going to still break.
If nothing else, it could be a different way to take down trees instead of just using... Because they said right now, you've got an axe or you're not getting down trees. So there's definitely... They've got to have some other ways, or either that or some way to get wood without actually being able to take the entire tree down, like a saw, and you're just taking down like one or two of the branches.
Well, you can find wood though, right? Wood is in game.
Yeah, there is definitely wood you can find at various campsites, killing other players who have got wood. And that's another phrase. When talking about wood, talking about like taking someone's wood, it just has this like weird phrasing to it. It's like, oh, I'm giving you wood. It's like, that kind of sounds dirty. So I'm wondering if just generic wood is going to persist, or if they're gonna change up the nomenclature to like wood planks or something, or wood logs.
That has me thinking about, though, isn't there a group in Landmark that's wanting to try and spend some time to chop down all the trees on one island or something? And
Friday,
can you just imagine how many zombies would spawn as you're trying to chop down all the trees in one area of
I-
H1Z1. That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know
Let it
that.
run.
I don't know that they necessarily spawn. They're already there in the world. It's just a matter of.
I mean, just zone in.
Yeah.
They're all coming in at you because you're generating so much heat. Just chopping down all those trees.
That's how you harass other guilds. Go next to their big camp. Everybody goes over there, chop down a bunch of trees, and get back in your vehicle and take off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, there's going to be all sorts of trolling. Like, that's the sort of thing I want to be a part of a group and build up the infrastructure and all of that. But there's just so many opportunities to troll people in so many hilarious ways. I feel like that's mostly what I'm going to be doing in H1Z1. It's like, yeah, I like the idea of building up a civilization, but I can totally just burn this entire place down right now, and it's awesome.
Yeah, we saw some of that in Jericho's stream yesterday. They had like that pack that came after Jericho, and there was like 2 or 3 other players in the game that had been, bringing the pack of zombies towards him as he was running away.
Yeah. Envoy, there will be some benefits with the early access. All we know right now is that there's going to be the one 1999 access package for early access. It might come with some special perks and features. I'd imagine it would probably come with some of those tokens for voting on server rule sets that they talked about. Maybe some aesthetics, maybe some very basic perks. But I don't think they have the kind of... It's not the same kind of game where you're going to be starting with like an assault rifle or anything. They don't want that with H1Z1.
Yep.
So having higher level early access packs and founders packs, I don't really see that being something that they're going to do. It might be something they mess around with a little bit later on, but it's not in the plan right now, and it makes sense for the context of the game. All right.
Yeah, they said that yesterday that you wouldn't build by like a piece of clothes that'll keep you warm all the time, or start off with the best knife or whatever, stuff like that. They are not putting in the game.
Yeah.
For the packs, I don't even know how they could even use a pack system. Like, what would it really do for you? Maybe give you a name over your head?
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, Xload, I missed another question here. Excess use of the concrete texture. They're still working that stuff out. They know it looks really ugly just to use the one texture. The way it works is that there's actually kind of textures layered on top of each other. If I remember correctly, Unreal 3 engine does the same kind of thing, that you've got a mesh of kind of the landmass, and then you're layering on the textures in such a way that they kind of blend. So you can have that concrete as the base, but then you're putting all sorts of other cracks and detail and stuff over it to kind of help break the monotony and make it look a little bit more natural. So that's all stuff that's in the works, and honestly, we're probably not going to see much of that stuff going on. Like when Clegg's working on level design, he's not doing the art pass, he's just doing the design pass. The artists are the ones who are going to clean all of that up and make it look beautiful, and we know they will. It'll just be a matter of time before we actually get all of that stuff going in.
Well, Clegg's last stream, he even said that when he was building the gas station and stuff, and people kept on saying, why does everything look like concrete? And he said that they can go in and paint each pillar differently and change everything, kind of like how we do in Landmark, how we have our painting tool. They said they are going to do that in all the buildings.
Yeah.
He said that during his stream.
Yeah, so it's something that they're working on. Item durability. We finally see item durability and its effects. You can smack something with the torch enough times that the torch breaks. You can smack stuff enough times with the hatchet that the hatchet breaks. Though I would hope that with the hatchet you would get the hatchet blade as like an item. Thanks, NerdXD. I would imagine you'd need that at least so you can build up another one real quick, because otherwise it's kind of hard to fashion a blade out of random materials in the world.
I want a sword. Katana.
You'll have to go to Japan to get your katana.
Well, it better be a big world I can run on then, because I'm running in Japan.
Mr. Negative, PS4 to PC, the controls will probably be different. Well, they'll definitely be different. The interface might be a bit different. The actual rendering is going to look a little bit different because it's not going to have PhysX. It's going to have whatever AMD cards have available to them. So there's going to be a bit of difference. It's going to look good. I've seen PlanetSide 2 on PlayStation 4. It looks good. It doesn't look the same way it looks on a computer, but it looks good for what it is. So I'm pretty sure when it gets to PS4, it'll look good. And it'll actually look better than PlanetSide 2 because they'll have had between now and then to build up their PS4 game, basically. So, yeah, item durability. That should be a lot of really interesting. And they talked about initially the idea of guns having their durability kind of tied to their ammunition count, but they've scrapped that. What do you guys think about just durability in general, things breaking and then either being able to repair and rebuild the item that it used to be, or just use some of those parts and build a new one, or you just lose all the stuff and you have to start from scratch with that item?
Well, I like the idea of durability, especially when it comes to the guns, because I think too many guns in this game is going to kill the game. Everyone's going to run around with guns, kind of like how DayZ is. Everybody's got a gun. You got snipers on the roof sniping people. I want it where they have so many shots and they have to find a cleaning tool or something like that, and then it'll actually break down, where maybe they can scavenge parts off it to actually fix another one. So they can't have a gun and just wreak havoc on everybody.
Yeah.
I think it depends on what the item is, because if it's a bow, okay, I can make another bow. If it's a axe, I don't know. I think there's probably some basic stuff that you should just have. I don't know how we, like you said, I don't know how we make another axe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
that part's kind of rough.
it's kind of a specific tool.
You know, a gun, you know, we're kind of scavenging for guns anyway. But you know what I really liked? I love that you could box to death the zombies. Did you see that in Jericho?
Yes.
That makes me feel a lot better, just knowing
Brass
that, you know,
knuckles.
there's some chance of, you know, killing the zombies even if you're just barehanded. That makes me feel a little better.
Well, yeah, and honestly, being able to work with another player, I feel like you'd be able to do that a lot easier. That kind of half stun that comes with the push, you can use with another player to basically, I imagine like schoolyard bullies. One person pushes it, the zombie's kind of reeling back towards the other person punches it in the head a couple times, then pushes it, comes back to the first person, punches it in a couple times in the head, pushes it, and they just do that until it's dead. They could do that to other players. Shops will be interesting because there isn't an established currency. Money is, toilet paper at this point in the game. So
yeah, that's gold.
A gold Rolex is about worth the sandwich at this point. So what is going to be currency? I'm thinking like bullets, fuel. Those are two big ones. I'm trying to think there was another one I was thinking of that would be a good currency. Seeds is one that people have talked about, but I don't really. Seeds are probably going to be easy enough to come across, and there isn't going to be as much farming infrastructure, so that
probably
would make sense.
Just going to be barter, right?
Yeah, it's mostly going to be barter. Like if someone's going to try to set up a currency, it'd probably be either bullets or fuel. Factions. Factions are player made. I mean, all of what a faction is a group of players, wearing the same colored stuff, trying not to kill each other. I don't know what kind of full-on grouping interfaces we're going to have, but I feel like what an actual faction or what an actual organization is going to be is very loose, and someone can easily walk away from it at any time. Yeah, Throck, we've seen corn seeds and wheat seeds.
Yeah, I don't see currency. I don't think. I just can't imagine currency being anything.
Yeah.
It seems like it's going to be barter. But when I think of shops, I was thinking. Chip mentioned the katana, and I was thinking, I wonder if we'll have like museums. Can we like go raid a museum for stuff?
That'd be cool.
That would be. I would take people out with a musket.
One shot and then run.
Make sure it's one of those weapons. You don't aim high, you aim low, because by the time the marble's about to come out of the musket, it's got so much kick that you're finally level with them. They're really funny weapons, actually.
Yeah, I think I can see clean water as a good barter item.
Oh yeah, like food and water, I could see being big ones. Hey, Cycles McHurt. Saw you were a bit of the savior today, and I think you got killed a couple of times the past couple of days. Good seeing you on the streams for sure. If anybody doesn't know, Cycles McHurts, that is Mr. Prison Shank in game.
Prison Shank.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh. Okay.
Yes, that guy, that awesome fella, the man with the manly mohawk.
Yeah,
go wrong
clean
with
water.
Mohawk.
No crossing streams.
Yeah.
I can't see trading guns and stuff being feasible. So you trade a gun to somebody with ammo. Who's saying he's not going to shoot you and take the rest of your stuff?
Right.
I mean,
I wouldn't trade a gun with someone I don't know.
that you don't know. And again, I think that's key. Is that a lot of this stuff is going to be people we know that we've already made contact with outside of the game, not people that we meet in.
Well, Nero already says he's going to kill everybody. So you give him a gun, he's going to shoot you with it, and then take your shit and run.
Well, first I'll find a high point. That's actually something I kind of noticed. Maybe not so much later on in the tougher areas, but in the earlier areas, I feel like some like higher areas, like a rock you can climb up on and have a higher vantage point, or just some kind of isolated platform sort of things that you just be able to walk up on and look down from would be great. It'd be great for, just 2 or 3 people trying to defend themselves at night from whatever's coming at them. It's those sorts of defensible things, but only early on. Later on, that sort of stuff shouldn't be around. You shouldn't, when you're really deep into it, know that, I can just kind of look around in the distance for kind of a high peak nearby and know that it's something I can climb on and kind of, shoot zombies from above with a bow and arrow.
How about tree stands like hunters use?
Yeah, there we go.
You go hide up in a tree stand waiting for someone to come down or chopping trees and you can see them in the distance.
It's fun to have animals become docile because based on familiarity with certain players. That would be great. I mean, people have talked about a lot wanting to have pets, bears as pets. Now that we know that there's bears, wolves as pets, deer as pets. You might not think about it, but if you've got a deer that you've trained for combat, it could probably fuck people up pretty well. Deer are
quick dinner.
Yeah, or be quick dinner. Well, it depends. I mean, you could just tie some ropes and some cans to it and just have a zombie lure.
I want to see a deer that's been trained for combat. A deer.
Yes.
Trained for combat. Okay.
You know it. Attack deer. Exactly.
Yeah, I seen that with the traps they had. That was the first time I seen the traps that they can make in game for animals. That was cool.
Well, I mean, the thing with the deer is you got trouble in the front, and you got trouble in the rear. They've got, just like with horses and other animals of that type, they've got that serious kick, so they can they could put that through a zombie, sure.
Need a buck with the horns.
Yep.
Impale them.
Exactly. I mean, especially if you reinforce those, build up some metal spikes, and attach them on with some epoxy or something. Yeah, you've got yourself an attack deer.
Make
And
a
it-
bear.
All it needs to eat is berries or whatever. They aren't really carnivores, so berries. Floating hats. That was something I thought was pretty funny. Looks like they fixed it today, but yesterday the floating hats were pretty entertaining. Ride a bear into battle. Yeah, everyone would ride a bear into battle. I don't know if they'll allow that.
Who needs a car? Got a bear.
Oh, a bear would ride a bear into battle. So the landmarks we saw on both streams, things in the distance, big deal. You can see things a long way away. It tells you there's some sort of civilization there. There's some points of interest there. There's something you might be able to do to not, freeze and starve and die out in the wild on this life and keep it going a little bit longer. Small animal trap doesn't work on wolves. That's correct. That's only for
Rabbits.
yeah, it's just for catching like rabbits and squirrels and stuff, from what I understand.
Oh, so those are in the game now.
Yeah,
So
I think they've been in the game. The animals themselves
The
were.
small traps have, yeah.
No horses yet. Horses would be interesting. Because horses,
That'd be a biggie.
yeah, horses are also, they're pretty tough, creatures to take down. Not only pretty strong, and they can actually.
Yeah, wouldn't you think that they'd have to be, usable as mounts before they put them in the game. I mean, that's kind of weird to
Yeah.
put horses in without being able to ride them.
That's
Make them wild, then you have to train them.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's the sort of mechanics they can definitely get down the road. We just got the rabbit models into the pipeline. Yeah, I remember about. In fact, last week I was saying about that ravens and rabbits. I remember were two new ones that have been talked about. Ravens, I'm really excited to see because that's the first aerial threat that we've seen in the game. So it gives you one more vector you have to look. You can't just be looking ahead and down. You also have to be looking up too. So that makes perfect sense to me. It's a survival game. You got to survive everything.
So that means the ravens are going to be eatable too, then?
I would imagine so. It'd probably be pretty satisfying to hunt down with the bow. Makeshift cart that you can push and hold more stuff. That would be great. I'd love that. I'd love to be able to go to markets and be able to just steal a shopping cart.
Bum style.
Yeah, it works. It works.
That's my home too.
Well,
So-
I mean, in the apocalypse, we're all homes. We're all
we have
hobos.
attack
We're all.
deer and we have ravens. That means we have to have attack chickens too, right?
Oh, yeah. You know, I don't know about that one. I
They're
think
little
what
tiny velociraptors, right?
they are. But I have a feeling that we'll have an easier time finding the chicken horse and landmark. I'll just leave it at that.
Chicken horse.
Chicken horse. Yeah, the one that Terry has been pushing for so hard. So
Next race.
crouching reduces the heat near zombies. That's pretty cool, and I'd imagine moving while crouching helps as well.
Yeah, we saw the prone. We saw the crawling prone today or yesterday. Today.
Attack pineapples. Yeah, the crawling prone we finally did see a little bit. Did we? I
It
feel
was
like
either today or yesterday.
yeah, I
don't know if it was
feel
in
like we saw it,
Jericho's.
but I can't remember which
Yeah.
which one. We didn't see much of it though.
No, I think it was in Co's.
Prone is more of like a dealing with players sort of thing. Doesn't seem like it does too much with AI creatures.
It should though.
Yeah, I think somebody was hoping that you'd be able to crawl past them, but I guess it depends on what senses they're using.
There
If
was
they're
some.
using smell more than sight, it's not going to do much good.
So he says in chat there was some crawling. It wasn't pretty. Okay. Yeah, I might have looked away for a moment there and missed that part.
Yeah, I did too.
Oh, that's fine then. I'll get to see it when it's looking nice. So, yesterday I noticed the runner zombies. They look like they move in fast forward, and today I kind of noticed the same thing. Things that move fast in H1Z1 right now, I don't feel the weight that they move fast. I feel like they have a normal move animation and it's just played at fast speed. Like the never mind, bad example. But that's kind of what I was noticing. What do you guys feel? Did you kind of feel the same way or see kind of the same stuff going on?
Well, I've seen the running and stuff. It does seem, I don't know. It's kind of a little sketchy on the running zombies. They need more variation with that. Not all of them are running like that. I like to see some that are crawling and pulling themselves along, or kind of like pulling their leg because their leg's broken. But it seems like they all kind of do the same thing.
Yeah. We don't really have a full-on zombie shuffle going on.
Right.
They should all kind of do something different, you know? They
Yeah.
all shouldn't do the same thing.
Well, there should be different types. I
Yes.
don't know about all
yes.
different, but at least
They-
different types.
Like a
Yeah.
fresh zombie is the one that runs, and the one that's been there for a while looking, they're kind of slower and still coming at you, but it just can't get at you as quick. Can't swing at you as quick. They can't take you down as quick.
Oh, believe me, I know. Animation is very time-consuming. It is a very, very difficult thing, especially to make it look right and make it look, good. Testing speed, speed up, tune the numbers, adjusting animation afterward. That makes sense. I mean, we're not looking at something that's about to go live.
Yeah. The zombies in Co's stream didn't seem like they were really attacking as much as I was expecting them to. Like, he was hitting them and they were just kind of standing there for the most part.
AI is
Seem like-
in work right now. AI's getting some overhauls.
Yeah, I know. I was just wondering if other people saw the same thing. It seemed that way to other people, or okay.
There were some of them that we saw yesterday and today that they just weren't behaving. So that's
they did say that during the stream though. They're working on AI for the zombies, so that is something they're working on.
Nice, big gulp.
Yep.
Yeah, somebody was complaining about the zombies being too slow, and it's like they're always going to be adjusting the speed throughout early access. I'm not expecting them to lock down the speeds until way into beta.
So, do we think stamina? Do we think zombies actually have stamina to them? These runners will stop and have to build up their stamina again, or will they just keep on going because they're just zombies? They don't really care about being tired or anything like that. Because that's kind of the thing. I thought that's what I was seeing with the runners, is that they'd run for a little while and then they'd stop and kind of have to take a break for a moment.
Well, that's what I liked about. I think I noticed that in Jericho's stream yesterday, and it seems to be the case today. The new thing is that the stamina builds up once you. Because I thought before you had to eat and drink to build your stamina back up.
No, if you've got food and water, your stamina will replenish.
Okay.
But I mean for zombies themselves. Zombie head turning is recent, still working out the limits and extents. Yeah, oh my goodness, head turning. Yeah, that's a huge mechanic. I'm not going to get into my my animation background and experience to talk about the considerations with that. I just know that can definitely be a big deal.
Get that poltergeist feel.
Yeah, or trying not to get it, I think, is more the it's easy just to kind of plop a head on the rest of the body and then just let it go all willy-nilly everywhere, but definitely putting those clamps down so it actually looks like a head turning properly. Very creepy. I wish there was like a Vine or a GIF or something that we could see of those early head rotation animations. That would be great, but I understand. Work in progress. Don't want to be showing broken stuff just for laughs. I guess the hot California weather took Dygz down for a moment, but he'll be back. I think he's in California. I know I am. It's hot as hell out here. We'll consider that request. Awesome. Very cool. So, he'll be back when he gets auto run. We've seen auto run now. It was a big feature. No hands. But what about auto walk or even auto crouch walk?
Follow.
Yeah. Now you're kind of split between both of the screens. That kind of looks weird. Dygz will be back in a sec. I'll just keep rolling with it. It actually looks really funny. You'll see it on the screen in a moment. You look like some sort of sci-fi villain taking up all the screens or whatever. Yes.
Oh wow, yeah. Move my head over this way a little bit so I can get like half and half.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, there you're on your.
I'll take over Dygz. Hey, I'm Dygz. What's going on, guys?
All right, but for serious, so auto movement seems like a really cool thing. Especially, I would really love to be able to have auto walk and then, like a mech warrior sort of thing, be able to look different directions without actually breaking stride or changing my direction. That for me would be a huge feature for auto walk, because I already know the direction that I'm headed. I now want to be able to kind of free look around and see what's coming from behind me. If I'm running away from zombies, I don't want to lose a half a step turning around for a moment to see if there's still zombies chasing me. I want to keep going in that direction and just do a quick peek if there's something behind me. Or maybe a dramatic peek behind me, but however.
I like that point where you can actually walk in any direction and look whatever behind you and the side of you and always walk the direction you want to walk. That's a very nice addition to a game like this.
Yeah, and it's it's easy for Landmark because we have independent camera controls from the direction that we're moving with auto walk. At least I'm pretty sure we can. But it's different because this is using the first/third person control scheme that we see in PlanetSide 2. So to break that out and do something different with it would be I think a really big kind of change. So it'd be a big consideration at least. I think they could do it. I'm sure they could do it. It's just I don't know if it's something they want to do, if it's some matter of time. Amputation, bit of an issue for players. Ramifications are huge. Seems a bit of a cheap trick to only have zombies do it and not let players. Still considering options. Yeah, I guess in your Blanco, like a player review, at the very worst, being able to just press backspace and hold that to look behind would be great.
I like the amputation thing. I think should be more aimed toward not player versus player or zombies against player, but more of what we can do to the zombies.
Yeah.
So you got a group of zombies coming at you, you can just start blowing off their legs and arms and stuff like that, so you can slow down the group, so you can start taking them out.
Yeah. Of course, they can pretty much do the same effect without amputation, just doing like damage on the body points and having them kind of break down, having different animations for breaking down. But once again, that's getting an animation, that's getting to a lot of different systems. Not that they won't do it, not that they couldn't do it, but there's a lot of stuff we have to see between now and then. Man, I hope Dygz, everything's all right with him. He just kind of disappeared. I guess the zombies might have got him.
Don't look behind him. He's probably at his computer like, what the hell?
My guess is a computer overheat, or if not his computer, then his ISP just kind of crapped out. It's kind of hot. I can see that sort of thing happening, or maybe the brownouts have begun. Oh, wait! He's almost back.
Yeah,
everybody.
that took forever.
What had happened?
Nice.
Somebody hit the power on my surge protector.
Oh, somebody.
Oh, that's nice. So you did it?
No. I've got people in the room with me.
Gotcha.
Not used to being where it is.
Gotcha.
Not a big deal. I was Dygz for a little bit.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
I took over your screen, waved to everybody, it came back to mine.
Yeah.
Nice.
Not as fancy a hat though, but
no, I don't got no fancy hat. Sorry.
All right. So we talked about auto run and auto walk a little bit there. So Jimmy talked a little bit about, and this is kind of something that we've been talking about a little bit, and this is actually the thing that Senor Blanco, who's in chat here, and I are going to be doing at SOE Live. We're doing a panel on, really, you're not going to be able to do much solo in H1Z1. You're going to live together, but you're going to die alone. So that's,
I don't know how true that is.
There's
stuff you can do solo. It depends on how far you want to progress.
There's stuff you can do solo, but the idea of surviving a long time, being able to set up a home, set up a farm, set up permanent infrastructure, you're not doing that solo. No.
That's a group thing.
Yeah. So you can be like Double D and go from group to group and kind of survive that way, but...
Oh, no, I mean just solo, but it depends on whether or not you're trying to build, like you said, a permanent structure and how big you want that to be.
Yeah.
But if you want to stay at, early levels and just die a bunch of times, that's a viable way to go.
Yeah,
you can
for sure.
be that lone person.
For sure. I mean, there's definitely giving me the mechanics for it. It's just don't think that you're going to be, building anything in particular or doing too much deep crafting.
Right.
It's definitely a very meager lifestyle to try to live like that. Why run after gutting them? Yeah,
Joining
screams. Yeah.
What's up with all of Evercast show being in the chat?
Because they're awesome.
Yeah, but I haven't seen this before. That's awesome.
Yeah, they're cool people. Plus, they're also secretly also really most, if not all of them, totally excited for H1Z1 as well.
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
I'm actually really excited to see Flatus and Tobran trying to fail together in H1Z1 because those guys are just hilarious. I absolutely love watching them play. Yeah. Okay. So, permadeath blows up your house rules. Now, they've talked about some of the different rule set considerations, and that's one I thought was funny. The way it was described is like, yeah, when you die, your house just blows up. Because I imagine like as soon as somebody dies, it just being this giant explosion in the world and scraps of like fiery boards and stuff going everywhere and burning up all the infrastructure nearby. And that's not exactly what I think they mean, but I like the idea of permadeath affecting your ability to own property. But something that we were talking about a little bit in the pre-show and a little bit beforehand was the idea of who owns the house, especially if multiple people worked on building it up. Who actually owns that property? How many people can have ownership of that property? And when one of them dies, does it transfer to everyone? Does everyone keep it? Does the last person who helped build it be the only one who owns it at that point? And then when they die, new spawns that have come in can't claim it or anything. So that's the sort of stuff that I'm really kind of interested in seeing how that plays out. What are your guys' thoughts on the subject?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how permadeath works in any case. And I wish they would kind of not use the term permadeath, because permadeath to me means that you can't use your character at all. Like, your character is dead. Can't use that character name again.
Yeah.
They seem to mean hardcore, which means you could lose a bunch of stuff.
But that seems the case anyway.
No, what I'm saying is, so that's hardcore. That's not permadeath, because
Right.
the character still comes back. They just
Right.
don't have as much stuff. So story-wise, your character is still viable. You just have to, and that could happen, right? In right survival, you lose stuff. You know,
Yeah.
you're still surviving life-wise, but you could lose a bunch of stuff. But yeah, I don't know what that means for. I'm just loving the fact that you keep the recipes. I don't know what that means for keeping a base or anything else.
And
Well, it's nice that you keep the recipes, but
Yeah.
losing a whole thing, like you built most of it and your friends helped, but if you died because you built most of it, it's yours. Then it's like somebody can just come in and grab it. Like, that would kind of suck. It should be kind of like a community-based. Like, this guy put that wall up, so he's part owner, and that guy's a part owner. And maybe if you die and you come back into the house and remove a wall and put another wall back up, then you're owner again.
Yeah.
Well, it seems to me that it would be something more along the lines of keys, because they say things like you die and then you the base unlocks, or the stuff you have unlocks, and you have to, and so if people are there, they would be able to get to it and maybe claim it. But that kind of implies to me that if you have friends there, they would be able to lock it back up for you.
Potentially. But what would that ownership give you? Ownership, we kind of talked about, I think in the form of keys, would be any lockable door or lockbox or other sort of thing. You and anybody who has that key can access it freely without having to smash it up or tamper with it or potentially pick the lock or break the lock trying to pick it. You just go up to it and you open it like it's no big deal, and anybody who doesn't have that key, they go up to it and they have to try to break it open one way or another, or just leave it as it is. If you've actually got a structure with, containment and doors and stuff to them, I could see that actually being something too that's a little bit more permanent, versus if I've just got the L-shaped structure kind of out in the wild and there isn't really anything else. It's kind of an open structure, to be honest. Anybody can just kind of walk in from that open angle and do whatever they need to in there. So at that point, a structure like that, I don't really feel like there's necessarily any ownership of it, because it's just a bunch of walls on a foundation in the world. There's not really anything to lock with it, and it's not like you can just pick it up and walk away with it.
But I thought there's like gates, like you can't I thought other players couldn't unlock your gate. So if you build a gate around your place,
Mhm.
and only you can lock it.
Yeah, but that's if you do it by yourself. Now, if you do it with a group, how would that work?
I think it's still got to be something similar. Somebody else would have to gain the rights to lock it or something.
Yeah.
Then if you have a key on you and you die out in the world, will that key drop so somebody can pick up that key and go unlock your house?
I was just
I would
thinking
hope
about
so.
that too.
That was one of the best parts of Ultima Online. If you ganked someone near their boat, you had their boat key.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. You just steal their
Take your
boat.
boat.
Just up and leave with it. It's yours.
That's actually why I didn't play UO.
See, that was one of the things I loved about it. I guess that's probably one of the that kind of trolling H1Z1 you're going to see from me. That was a pretty big horde. I saw the server was crying. Like the some of them kind of doing the walk off in the distance for a little bit, and they all kind of were bouncing and rubber banding back and forth on each other. I could tell like the AI and tracking and collision and everything, it was all just going to shit right then and there.
Oh, I did too. It was a little too much for all of them, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't even behaving. Like, he walked through them, basically, and instead of being insta-jibbed by 1,000 zombie arms and bites coming at him, just bounced off of them. Because they weren't able to react because there's so much other stuff they had to deal with nearby. Mostly the other 100-plus zombies. Now, that doesn't mean that the game can't handle a horde of zombies. Like when I was at E3, there was a group of like 20 or 30 that I mowed down with the AR-15 on top of the vehicle. So it's it can handle a lot of them in a small area. It's just not like, don't put that many down. At least not this early. Just updated the code during the stream. See if
Nice.
that addressed much. Servers may cry a little less. That would be nice to see. I mean, if it's successful, or even if it isn't, I'd love to see a little bit of the result of that. If you want to try to do like a 100 or a 200 or a 500, and see how many before everything starts breaking, and give us a little, like I said, a Vine or a GIF or something. That'd be totally awesome. It's just those little teasery things, and I know the tech people don't usually get to show off stuff like that the same way that art people do and design people do. So be able to be like, yeah, this is what I do. Yeah. Oh yeah. So this I gotta talk to Jimmy directly about this one, because I play rogue-like games and roguelite games, and his description of roguelike, I don't know if he was maybe using the wrong word at the moment, but it sounded like he meant rogue legacy-like when he was talking about the idea of a permadeath, or not the permadeath, but a hardcore rule set where you start with a certain type of disadvantage, like being lactose intolerant, for example, or allergic to beets or something, or gluten, whatever. So there's certain things that your character can't use, and you also don't know that your character can't use that until you find out.
That's a little too hardcore, man.
But I say with that it's more Rogue Legacy-like and not so much roguelike as the word that he described, because Rogue Legacy is the only game I can think of in terms of roguelikes and roguelites that you start with 2 disadvantages and all of your previous equipment and everything, and it just nomenclature, but it's something that I hone in on.
I don't know about the part of discovering the weaknesses, because that could mean anything, but I definitely like the idea of having weaknesses. That could be fun.
Larn-like? You'll have to give some details. What is Larn, and how is things like it? I'm guessing that's something that came before Rogue. We're gonna get ourselves some video game history here, folks. So what do you guys feel about that, though? The idea of characters actually potentially having those kind of disadvantages, because the big argument going into the game as to why everybody is Larn and Moria, the big reason why we're not going to have different skills on the characters and different things that the characters are better at, while everybody is going to be James Bond MacGyver, is because if you start with a character that has something that you don't want, the idea that you're just going to go and kill off your character and start a new one rather than trying to continue on and live it out is something they want to avoid. And I could see the same being some sort of a random disadvantage sort of thing. If people want to select for that sort of thing, that's why I would see it being a rule set sort of deal. But it just doesn't, in the scope and scale of things, I'd rather have a server rule set with skill levels 1 to 100 than a server with a rule set of random disadvantages.
As long as I know what the disadvantages are when I make my character, I don't want to have to go through the game and then find out.
You're allergic to something and you die.
Yeah. But if I found out right away, then yeah, I'd probably be up for that. So I, know how to play and I can work that into my character and blah 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 blah. But yeah, it's one of those things that they talked about for EverQuest Next of not wanting characters to make a character and without knowledge that they discover way down the line after you've had your character for months at a time.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it could be fun to have some weaknesses. But if I had weaknesses, I would want to have some strengths.
Exactly.
Like, good at bandaging or good at cooking or, give me a little bit, more perks in something.
Right.
But,
and that's, once again, starting to break out of that mold of the James Bond MacGyver that everybody is in the game. So it's... yeah,
it gives your character some character.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, that would help out with community-wise and wanting to be in big clans or guilds or whatever it's going to be in game.
That's right.
If you have weaknesses and strengths, you want everybody that has that, like a certain weakness and strength, to balance everything.
That's right.
No, Krona, your gas contains zombie pheromones. Yeah. It would be a really nice system. I actually kind of think about GURPS a little bit, where you've got some amount of advantages and disadvantages, and that's how you kind of create the point. You use the disadvantages to create the points you're going to use for the advantages for your character. Fat guy plus 10 food discovery. Nice.
I can smell that donut right over there.
Yeah. Oh man. Yes. Yeah.
Everybody want a group with him. Everybody wants that one fat guy in their group.
Oh my! The one game where being the fat guy is like the advantage.
The healer.
The healer, yeah, basically. Pretty interesting. So we don't start with the torch anymore, it appears. Maybe you guys can correct me if you saw otherwise, but it looked it looked like they didn't start with a torch. Either that or Jericho managed to smash his torches up really quickly. But torches can break. Torches can break, and you have to make new ones. It's a piece of wood, like a stick, some cloth, some sort of oil, and...
The fat, I think, it was the fat from the...
Yeah, you can use animal fat, or there's probably other oil. Didn't start with a torch. Okay, so initially we started with the torch, and I can see how the trend of everybody lighting everything on fire could definitely get boring really quickly. So it's probably a better decision that we don't start with a torch. I could see maybe starting with a lighter or something, or having that as something built into the character, something that can light something on fire in a very simple way, but that you're not going to be standing there with a lighter trying to light a house on fire or something. You're just going to burn your hand.
My only problem with that is if you start the game, like your first time into the game, and you come in at nighttime.
Yeah.
You have no light. Do you start with a flashlight? Do you at least have a flashlight?
I don't know. Maybe they swapped it out so you start with a flashlight instead of a torch.
I hope so.
But somebody did not have a light. They had to beat. Was it?
Rubbing
was it
sticks
Jericho?
together. Yes, rub sticks together. I think
Jericho who was boxing. It was Jericho who was boxing the guy, right? And
yeah.
he didn't have a Did he have a flashlight when he was boxing the guy?
I think the guy had the flashlight.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
think he just
mistaken.
had his fists. I don't think he had a light source when he was doing the boxing.
Yeah, you got to start out with a light source, though. 'Cause if you start off the game in the nighttime, you might as well just call it quits because you're gonna die.
Yeah, I can agree with you there. Now that's an interesting idea. Depending on the time of day that your character starts, having different pieces of equipment. Should have started with a flashlight. You can box with it. Okay. I mean, flashlight. It's a club. You got like an 18-inch mag light. That's a serious club right there.
Oh, that might break it. That would suck. I guess you just run. Got flashlight out, just run.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. Q for
No.
the push away for sure. That push is big. I love the push, but I still want like a front kick. Might do a little damage, a bigger push, but it's also got a slower recovery time, and if you miss, it's going to be a big deal. But also, it would take more stamina, I would imagine.
Nero wants a kung fu guy.
Not necessarily. Well, there are different practical martial arts that like a week's worth of training would make somebody way more survivable. So I would imagine, if the apocalypse happened weeks to months before this point, people have had at least a
Everybody's
little.
taking karate classes.
No, everybody's at least had a little bit of experience hitting zombies with objects because they've had to. It's not one of those things where you're so sheltered and such luxury that you have somebody that swats your zombies away for you, and it's just you just happen to get plopped down in the middle of nowhere and the game starts. That doesn't seem like it's really the case. It seems like all the people are, they've survived up to this point one way or another, and it's up to the player to keep them surviving beyond that point.
Yeah, imagine I'd just be shooting arrows at everybody. I don't think I'd necessarily be trying to use martial arts.
Crossbow. Want a crossbow.
Well, I think the other thing to think about with martial arts is all hand-to-hand combat is martial arts. We're not talking like karate and taekwondo, but all hand-to-hand combat is martial arts of one form or another.
Nah, I don't. I mean, I consider martial arts something that you've studied to do versus just going out. But if we can get animation packs, I mean, I'd want one of my characters to, have some martial arts animations. Sure.
Yeah, but it's not the animations I want. It's the functionality. Anybody can do a front kick. That's easy.
But that's my
true.
point. Well, I don't know. For me, it would be about the animation. So I don't care what the same functionality as boxing, but I would want different characters to have different animations for it.
So that would work in that rule set having weaknesses and strengths on a server.
Yeah.
When one guy comes in as a karate guy,
Yeah.
he gets dehydrated quick or something of that sort.
Something like that. Can't admin respawn again? Trying to type in chat. Oh no. No bueno. Oh well, at least you've got the admin respawn instead of the regular player respawn, because we don't have a regular respawn. But yeah, admin respawn. I've seen that button quite a few times. Quite a few times in person and on streams. It's funny. It's like, oh, you're dead. Press the button. Bears. We talked about bears a little bit. They'll chase cars potentially. These bears give no shits and take no fucks. Apparently, they will wreck your infrastructure. These are not nice bears. These are very mean, aggressive bears.
I'm looking forward to see what the Bears do, since we haven't seen nothing except for the animations they put up on Twitter.
Yeah.
At least I haven't seen nothing yet.
I remember when it used to be the Planet Side 2 death screen cycles. Way back in, I think, January, when we saw some really early stuff from it. Yeah. Bears are going to be a big deal. They're going to be tough. They're going to be a high reward kind of thing to kill.
Will the bears be able to make our cars explode?
Uh,
Remember when you
yeah.
punch the car too many times, it explodes? I can just imagine bears wailing on our cars as we try and run them over.
Yeah, I could definitely see that being an issue. I don't know if we're going to be able to Street Fighter 2 the cars anymore, or if
Yeah, I think they'll fix that bug.
yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty funny though, the idea that you could just sit there and, well, I already said it, Street Fighter 2 the car, just sit there and punch it out like a mini game and see if you can get the high score.
Cody has a good point. Wearing the bear skin.
Michael
So if you actually kill a
Bay.
bear, then you actually get the skin from it to keep you warm all the time.
Cool, see you later. Cycles. Yeah, no, and that was something else that they talked about, is the idea of temperature actually mattering and actually having to insulate yourself from the heat and weather and everything. So yeah, like bears.
Yeah, dry yourself from rain and stuff. But they said again that you might get sick, which still, I'm interested in knowing what that means.
Yeah,
You guys get dry in the fire and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully the fire will make you feel better, and we'll see.
So you guys caught the stomach grumbling sound, right?
Yep.
That I loved how it scared Jericho the first time it came up. I actually had stepped away, so I didn't hear it the very first time. It was the next time I came through. It was like, oh, wow, yeah, it is really loud. Stream Slayers, yeah, that could be fun. Streamer Slayers. So, speaking
But
of...
yeah, it was cool. Wait, so
Go ahead.
we saw the not just being dry under by the fire, but being dry under the trees and keeping dry under the canopy.
Yeah.
Is what they said.
Yeah. And it'll be, and I'm sure there'll be other ways to keep dry, being able to just convert a tarp into a makeshift poncho or something. A lot of stuff that'll be able to do. And actually, I wonder what we're going to see later on, different types of overcoats and stuff to help people kind of survive out in the weather like that. But also the considerations of people like, I almost feel like my World of Warcraft days where I had my entire inventory full of, half of it was engineering stuff, parts to make other things, and the other half of it was my resist gear. And I think about that with H1Z1. Someone's walking around, they've got a coat for the rain, they've got a coat for the snow, they've got, some nice warm weather clothes, they've got, half a dozen things to make half a dozen crucial things, but they end up dying out in the world because the one thing they needed at the time they needed it wasn't available, and then they just kind of got screwed.
Yeah, I wonder how they're going to deal with all that, with the different weather changes and stuff you can wear. Because you really haven't seen much on that, like gear and stuff.
Yeah,
They did say that we're going to have. They did say we're going to have the bulletproof thing, I forget what you call it there.
Flak
police
jackets
gear.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be different levels of civilian grade to military grade personal protection that'll be available in the game. Probably not the high level military stuff till much later on. But yeah, all that stuff I'm sure we're going to be, and that's how you increase your health basically, is through armor. So
Well, one of my characters actually needs the Catholic schoolgirl skirt and jacket.
I got the heartbed in
But
my
we need-
place.
needs, huh?
We need colors though too, like you said, team colors.
Yeah.
Find
cool.
different colors so that we don't kill our own guild members.
Well,
That would be good.
that's going to be a big SC point, I think, where they're going to be selling a lot of station cash items, is buying a shirt or a piece of clothing that matches the aesthetic of the group you're playing with. So if you're all wearing orange and brown striped shirts and you've all got a red bandana, you go and spend 500 station cash. You've always got that shirt when you start. You've always got that bandana when you start. So when you go out and find your buddies, they spot you and immediately know you're part of the group, or at least that you might be, and they need to get closer and see your name.
But if they can steal your station cash stuff temporarily, that means they could pretend to be on your team.
That's right, and that's part of the fun of the game. That's big
Come roll
part.
up and kill everybody.
Yep, that's I'm sure what bandits are gonna do. Try to pick off 2 or 3 people outside, and then just stroll in wearing wearing their colors or whatever. And you don't realize that they're bandits until somehow something explodes somewhere and a bunch of stuff is gone.
I wonder what the distance is for seeing people's names.
It's pretty close right now. I would love to see it increase over time the more familiarity you have with that person. And that was actually one of those consequences of death that I thought would be meaningful, is that you lose all of the interactions that you had with other players. So you have to kind of relearn everybody and relearn like the kind of personality of the character and how they move and how they walk and all of that, to basically increase the distance that you can see their name. Because I've been saying this for months now, one of the first things that humans can recognize about another human in the distance is their stride. If you know somebody, if you've looked at somebody enough, you can see them walking in the distance, even if you can't see what their face is, or maybe even you're just kind of mostly looking at a silhouette, but you can tell that's actually who the person is, because everybody, just like a fingerprint, everybody's stride is unique. So it's that sort of stuff and other sorts of characteristics. If they actually use voice comms, if you're within range, that might also be something that could eventually like put a name tag over their head, so you know that's who the person is all that far away in the distance.
Yeah, all of that sounds good. Voice recognition. Again, animation packs. If you're buying a special animation pack, that could help too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a good selling point for them.
Yeah. I mean, it isn't that every individual character would have their own walking animation, but it's kind of the game doing something to bridge the gap between the fidelity of real life and the fidelity of playing a video game. That, if we were in real life seeing someone at that distance, and somebody that we knew, we'd be able to identify them. So that's, man, we came a long way from talking about bears, huh?
I guess we did.
Yeah. Or were we talking about food? We might have been talking about food and water. Food and water. So berries apparently will add water, not just food. And
A little bit of water, yeah.
I would kind of hope that the same happens with like beer, for example, and things that you can drink that actually have they're mostly liquid, but it's got something that'll add some nourishment. I'm not necessarily saying that the characters should expect to just live on blue soda alone, but it's the idea that if I'm growing wheat and I'm making basically it's like a very dilute malt syrup that gets a very little amount of fermentation to make sure that it's potable, but that's what people were living off of for centuries, up to this point. When they talk about monks fasting,
were they living decades on that stuff, or were they dying at 30?
Well, no, that's the thing. They actually could live quite a while. Like the monks who would be like fasting for what we would think would be unreasonable amounts of time. Well, it turns out the water that they were drinking to stay alive was actually, like all water at the time, it was kind of this very dilute beer. So they're actually just kind of a little buzzed all the time, but well nourished. Beer would dehydrate you, you're right. And that's one of the things it's been talked about on previous episodes, and I really want to know what they're going to do about it. Different types of intoxication, alcohol intoxication, if you eat some sort of bad fungus or something like a moldy rye bread sandwich, or there's various things that can alter your kind of state of being, and I wonder how much we're actually going to be able to see that sort of stuff. Yeah, meat, that's another. I mean, anything sugary can be fermented, and something that's been fermented with yeast is plus or minus potable. It's not necessarily going to taste that great sometimes, but it'll keep you alive and it won't kill you. Not for intoxication, but for dehydration. Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. Alcohol is dehydrating. A very mild beer, if it's under like 2%, you can drink that indefinitely and you're probably going to be getting more hydration than less. But if you get more on like 3.5%, 4% or higher, that's where you start to have like, you might feel like you're hydrating your thirst initially, but then, yeah, you're dehydrating yourself. Want to make hooch and sell it? Everyone loves hooch. Rye bread mold. Yes, it is. Um, that was the Saint So and So's fire or whatever, where they felt like they're all on fire and freaking out and stuff. I don't know. I've tried to avoid moldy rye bread in my life, so I really don't know. But I understand there's definitely psychoactive components there.
Some moldy bread is going to be more palatable to us when we're trying to survive and don't have anything else to eat.
This is true.
Eat whatever you can get.
They had a show where they would take people they would take them out and leave them in like a early colony area, and they would have to live like they were building a colony for months. And when they first got there, they were like, "Oh, look, there's mold. Ooh, look what's happening to this." And by the 4th month, they were like, "Oh, that's just a little bit of mold. We'll just cut that off. Ooh, look, that's fine. You know, that's a little spoiled. Oh, that's fine. Well, then, not a problem."
Yeah. Or using Rome regularly. I could see that. They got down with some funky stuff out there. Yeah, so we went a little ways from talking about food there, but yes.
We're not a little, we're still there, because we still have those
that's
allergies
true.
And weaknesses and stuff.
That's
and
true.
We could find out the hard way that we're allergic to moldy bread.
Well, that if they do put those sort of weakness things, and that's, like I said, probably be a server rule set. Wheat bread mold be medicinal, penicillin. Yeah, that's right. I could definitely see people using mold as a way to develop antibiotics and stuff. Moldy rye bread is a little bit different, but yeah, just regular moldy bread, and probably various other moldy and otherwise affected substances could be healthy or usable. Yeah. But
I wonder if they're gonna have canned food in the game, like find cans of food.
Yeah, that's what there is right now. Is just cans of beets are the only things I was able to find the time that I played. They've got more, from what I understand, or maybe they don't actually. But the beets you can use to make survival borscht, apparently. So that was Tasechka's contribution to the game. So she's, I think, the first player to actually get an item put in the game based on their own background. So that's pretty cool. Gorgonzola is penicillin too? Yeah, I can see that. I don't really eat too much gorgonzola.
Never even heard of it.
It's a cheese.
I like cheese. I just never heard of that.
Yeah. I think it's one of the footier cheeses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was funny watching both Cohh and Jericho run into the same issue, that if you don't have a microphone, you're more likely to end up just kind of killing other players because there's no other way you can really interact with them. that was kind of a funny thing. It's like, well, I don't know. Like, I know Cohh is just being silly. It's like, I said something about my mother, and he went and killed. I think that was actually Cycles, who was in here earlier. But that's definitely a very interesting thing to think about. People who don't have a microphone, are they more or less likely to just go out and kill people?
I think most people are going to have a microphone.
Blue cheese.
I think I think we've advanced to the place where you're just not going to be playing without a microphone. I mean,
yeah, for the most part. I mean, most people just play with headsets anyway because it's usually more convenient, or they've got some sort of mic. Not everybody has one, though.
No, you'd be surprised. There's a lot of players that do not even care for like TeamSpeaks and vents. And those are the same people that will be playing games like that too.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't care either until I started playing Landmark, and everybody was like, "Get a microphone. Where's your microphone?" Well, okay, I'll get a microphone. I mean,
so yeah,
typing sucks.
Yeah. Still wonder, are we going to have guilds? They might do something, but I don't really know how it's going to work, and I don't know how death is going to affect it. That could once again be a server rule set thing where you could actually form basically the equivalent of an outfit, and when you die, you're still in that outfit. It's just you're somewhere else out in the world. Obviously, unlike PlanetSide 2, you're not going to have a map that you can pull up and see where everybody else is at. So Yeah, be interesting. They do want us to group. You're right, Diggs.
Well, that's what the game's kind of about, though. You know, that and surviving is about grouping.
But it seems like they kind of want the groups to be maybe a little bit on the loose side, to be able to fluctuate people, coming in and joining them, leaving them, people dying, more people dying, because people are going to be dying constantly in those groups. And when you die in a group, you're alone until you find that group, or until they find you again, or until you find another group.
That's what landmarks are for.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, I'm still wondering how they're going to do the map system. I know they talked about it in the forums, and haven't really heard anything about it yet.
Yeah, I mean, there was the map discussion. We got it rolling, I think it was last week, and there's been a lot, actually it was 2 weeks ago, but there's been a lot of discussion from that big, no, it was last week. Big discussions kind of slowed down since then, so this might be the time to kind of go through and look it over and see everybody's opinions, see if there's still any conversation going on. But there was definitely a lot of feedback on maps, and I'm really not sure one way or another where it's going to go and how it's going to go. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess we'll probably go the full 2 hours here. You guys up for that?
Sure.
Well, I don't care.
Cool deal. Okay. Because we started a few minutes late because Co is still doing awesome stuff there, trying to run from the server destroying number of zombies. Got any piece on H1 I can show? I don't have any new footage to show, if that's what you mean. All my special footage was the stuff from E3, and it's already come and gone. People have already seen it, and it's now irrelevant, I guess, at this point, now that everybody knows what it's all about. And there's newer stuff. So we got to see combos.
Yeah, look pretty good.
Cool.
Yes. All the combos look good. The melee combos, the punching combos look good. The axe combos look good. I want to see the combos with the crowbar. That's another one we've got. Machete, I think, is another melee weapon we have in the game that we don't really see much. So I don't know what the difference is in the timings and the better or worse for each one. There's probably going to... I don't want to say that there's going to be ones that are definitely better than other ones, but there's probably definitely going to be some that it's like, if you've got this, you are the king of close quarters. Or it might be that there's 2 or 3 top close quarters weapons that if you have one of those, you can... it might be like a rock, paper, scissors. Like, if you've got the crowbar, you can beat the machete. If you've got the machete, you can beat the katana or something. If you've got the katana, you can beat the crowbar. Something like that, and it's just the way that the mechanics of the weapons and the combos work that allows it to play out in that way.
Hopefully they put some kind of blocking system in where you can actually, someone's combo and they can block. And
Yes.
Stop them for a second, and then go in and finish them off.
Yes. Or actually,
very cool.
From what we've seen, I haven't seen anybody actually try to crouch. That was my big thing in first-person shooter Melee. I crouch and get you to come close enough to me that I can use the netcode and the latency to just spring up and smack you right in the face.
Hadouken.
Exactly. And that's a lot of my style with that sort of stuff. Or when I know that headshot's coming, just duck real quick and slash at the legs. So that'll...
What'd you think of Chiona's question about the UI for combos?
Chewy. Combo system is great. UI for combos. A timer would be nice. I'd actually like to see the combo system have a little bit more variation, having click versus hold meaning different things, and mash click versus a single click being different things, to be able to kind of flow into different parts of the combo depending on what you're trying to do and maybe the desperation of the situation.
Yeah,
I
slash,
think I like
push.
that better than I like that better than a timer for some reason. But
Timer, I mean, I understand the idea of the timer that you hit and then you have between the beginning of the circle appearing on the screen from when it ticks down and disappears to get the next hit in to keep the combo going. Something very simple like that I could see them doing, but I could at the same time see them not doing that, so people have to just learn their timing and learn the timing for each weapon. And then learn the timing for each weapon relative to their stamina and any other injuries they might have.
That sounds more like something they would do than just a timer, but
I thought it was like contact, where you actually contact and you press it again. See, I'm not 100% sure how the combo system works in the game.
Yeah, I think it was when you press it. Yeah, hold the button to charge up. That's a good one. But yeah, I think it's when you press it and you make contact. The moment you make contact, if you press it again, you start flowing with the next part of the combo and the next part of the combo and the next part of the combo, versus if you hit once and then back off for a moment, you're not going to come back in with the second part of that combo. Likewise, it isn't like a lot of action games I've seen where, oh yeah, my most powerful parts of the combo are the 9th and 10th attack, so I start the combo like 10 yards away, so I'm hitting with the 9th attack when I finally get to you. I think DCO even had some of that. I always thought that was a hilarious system. Vindictus is the game that's the worst violator of that, I feel. That was I love the game, but that was one of the things that's just the most hilarious. You see an enemy, you see the person, they do thrust, double thrust, spinny thrust, and then they're finally at the enemy, and then they finally get into the real attacks they mean to do. The other things were just building up to that so they don't get smacked on the way there. Yeah, hold recharge. That could there's a lot of fun mechanics they could put into that, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. They're smart people. They can definitely put something in that's really awesome, and I'm sure they will.
Yeah, it's still pretty early on, so
It is super early on. I mean, I think about where we're at with Landmark. We still don't even have combat with that, and that's you know,
I don't want to
I
talk
was
about
gonna
that.
try not to say that.
we're 24 weeks in from free alpha, but it's gonna be good when we get it. It's gonna be really
yeah,
good.
but combat was always late anyway. They weren't even sure they were going to be able to do that before launch, so
Yeah. So the idea of losing death or losing recipes when you die, I came up with a new phrase for that server rule set: wiki hardcore. Because it's basically the same game, it's just you're using a wiki to look up your recipes rather than having to do the research. Other than that, it's the same game as any other server. So
Yeah, I don't think you should lose your stuff. I guess for a rule set, it's okay.
yeah, it's a rule set thing, but it seems like an arbitrary rule set because most people are just going to do the wiki hardcore thing rather than actually toughing it out and having to find all the recipes from scratch again.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird thing. I mean, I'm happy that we don't have to go through the headache of trying to relearn all the recipes, and I don't mind it for a hardcore server. But I mean, at some point, some of the stuff is just going to be, we as players are going to know anyway. You won't even have to look that stuff up, like how to make a bow. We're already going to know how to do that before we even get in the game. So just being forced to relearn it is kind of silly anyway.
Yeah, they'll hit the internet in the first week. You'll have most of the stuff out there.
But it's going to keep changing. Like I would imagine that's what the weekly content patches are going to be, is all the new different recipes for how you can make items that already exist in different ways. So here's something that I'd thought about, and this is an idea I got from a 2D sandbox that I play called Kriya. It's from Siege Games, and the developer actually live streams a lot, so follow Siege Games on Twitch here, because dude's totally awesome. But the way they do research in that game, you expend materials when you perform the research. So, or Sword of the Stars, the Pit also does that. When you research something, now that it's two different systems for each one. If in Kriya you have this many things, like as you research stuff, the bar fills in for the amount of research with that material. Once you know everything that material can be used for, the bar is filled in and you know you're kind of complete with that item. Versus Sword in the Stars, you don't know what you're actually making. If you get lucky and you put the right pieces in to make the recipe, you learn that recipe, but you expend the items, and if you get it wrong, you don't keep your items, the items are expended and you don't learn anything. So I could see that being a way on maybe a rule set sort of thing potentially, that doing the research expends your materials. That means you can't just tear your shirt off and make a bow out of it. You got to tear your shirt off, use that to make the bow, and then rip your pants off to to actually make it after you've researched it or whatever. So I could see some really funny situations coming out of that.
Be a lot of naked people running around.
Yeah.
I got a bow! I got a bow!
Yeah.
Yeah, but it seems to me like we don't have enough resources to really go the route of.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Not for this type of game.
Right.
But it would be good as a rule set for like start getting into more hardcore of a game rule set.
Yeah, I mean that's one way that it really eats materials out of the world quickly. If because everyone's gonna want to research everything, you're not gonna be that one guy who doesn't know how to make a torch. So, yeah, that would be a very high that could be like a very high resource deposition and turnover sort of thing. That there's a lot more stuff to loot out in the world, but at the same time, it's gonna be expended that much quicker. Yeah, Koa's doing a good job showing the experimentation, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
he
kind of
is.
fascinating to me to think about how hardcore people are going to want to go. Like, what's hard, because they say they want a hardcore game. I'm not sure even, I don't know, sometimes they say stuff that I'm thinking that's not really hardcore.
It's you lose your stuff when you die.
So if you want hardcore, you could go that hardcore. That's kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, oh my goodness, I have like another half a page of notes here.
Wow, I took a lot of
Let's go
notes.
for it.
I
Go
did.
for it. Go for
All
it.
right.
Speed round.
So, deconstructing an item. So once you've got an item, you've got 5 bows. Okay, so you break one down. Instead of researching, this is kind of going with the same idea that we were talking about with research expending items. Or maybe not. Maybe it's something you've got an item, but you have to actually destroy that item out of the world to research exactly how to make it, instead of bit by bit having to learn how to do it. Over time, you won't really need to do that because we'll already know every recipe and you won't have to. But it could be something that some recipes you can only know how to make it if you've done the research and you've actually had that physical item in your hands at one point. So like you don't know how to make an AR-15 until you've seen an AR-15. So you could get close, but you couldn't quite finish it.
And that sounds good to me for advanced items for sure.
Yeah, but get close enough to one.
Yeah.
That guy's going to shoot your butt.
Well, I mean, unless he's got no ammo and he's just running around trying to hold people up with no bullets.
Let me know how that works
assuming
out for you.
I was assuming that meant you found the weapon.
No, I was talking about actually having the weapon in your hands and being able to like examine it, but yeah,
That's the same thing. You'd have
Yeah.
to find it and examine it and do
Yeah.
something with it. I don't know about stealing it from somebody's.
yeah.
Let's jump that guy.
So something that was kind of interesting. I don't know if this is going to be kind of a permanent thing or if it's just where draw distance is at right now. You can see the tree interactions way further than you can actually see the players draw in the world.
That makes sense to me.
It's that if you can't, if somebody's that far in the distance, you're not like, oh man, that's that one tree I need. I'm going to run like a mile to chop it down. It's, you're not going to have people doing that and then see, oh no, there's some guy at the tree. Oh no. I think it's more, you're walking around and you might not know that there's another player around until a tree falls. You look that way, you don't see a player until you get a little bit closer. That's kind of an interesting thing, but I don't know if that's the intent or if it's just draw distance and level of detail stuff that they're working on right now.
Yeah, it could be a way
Seems
of.
like you would be able to see a tree fall before you could see a person. I don't know.
Yeah. You'd figure, especially at a long distance, that'd be an optimizing issue too. If you
Yeah.
start seeing more people and the zombies real far away, that'd drag your system down.
Yeah. Because, like they said, it isn't the number of polys; it's the draw calls themselves that slow it down. So, you can level of detail them down to 8 polygons, but you still have to draw. You have to do the whole draw call for it. So it's going to impact the system just the same in the way that it matters, or at least that's what T-Ray's got me believing. T-Ray and some other. I mean, it seems like that's the thing with the Foresight engine. We're not limited by polygons. We're limited by draw calls. So, herds of deer. We saw a herd of deer. I've never seen that before in H1Z1.
That was cool.
That was. That it shows. It really kind of speaks to what the AI does, because they're deer. What are they going to do? Pack up as a herd, stay together. And what happens when you come through trying to chase them down? They scatter as a group.
And they actually scattered like real too. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Some good stuff there.
Yeah, and that's going to be interesting for how or whether we can use those to herd zombies.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's every animal, I would imagine, if you light it on fire and it runs away, it's going to attract zombies. If you, I don't know, tie a rope with tin cans to it and have it run, it's going to attract zombies. I don't know what level of zombie lures we're actually going to be able to make.
Beyond Screaming Baby.
Yeah, beyond Screaming Baby, and we haven't even seen Screaming Baby yet. That's a piece of technology that we're still just at Survivor Radio. We still haven't seen the real implementation, and we're not really
That's what
sure.
They're holding early access off for.
Oh yeah, that'd be okay. That should be the thing. Early access. Everyone who gets early access, you get one of those ever. That's it. Otherwise, you have to buy them for 100 station cash. The ultimate lure. No, I don't think that'd be a good idea, actually. It'd be interesting to see if that's the sort of item they would actually make a station cash thing, like something you can go to some specific place, spend station cash in the world, and walk away with an item that you can do something with. I don't know how much they would want to do that, because you're spending what's supposed to be more of a permanent currency on temporary stuff, but there's all sorts of expendable items people can buy in the various different games, so it could make sense. It could make sense. I wouldn't say it should be done. I mean, station cash usage, that should be an entire episode of its own, I think. Alright. Menus. Oh my goodness, there's menus. I didn't really get a good look at them, but apparently they've got them now. So it isn't just admin respawn.
Yeah, it went down pretty quick every time they showed it, so.
A can of beans duct taped to a stick? What would that do for you, D-Man?
Teasing the fat guy with it.
Yeah, I guess so. So corn and wheat seeds. So they've talked about you can set up a farm, but you're going to need a whole lot of infrastructure to be able to do it. Otherwise, anybody's going to come through and steal your crops, or zombies just come through and eat you while you're farming. Not a good situation. So that's going to be really interesting to see. And then, both of them to be able to convert into ethanol is kind of one of the end game ideas with them. Both of them you ferment and distill and pour it in your engine. Can of bean taped to a stick, makeshift mace. I'd want something a little sturdier than a can of beans, I think. Maybe just a little. I'd probably more try to take the tops and the bottoms off the cans and affix them as little axe blades or something. I don't know.
If you're really, really, really going for the splatter effect, I mean, sure.
I guess so. Yeah. So zombies are given dead players' items once that player's items degrade and they disappear from the world. I think that's an interesting mechanic, because then you're adding loot to zombies in a way that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to. Otherwise, zombies don't have loot.
So what? Say that again.
Okay, so player dies out in the wilderness, nobody comes to loot their stuff, and the timer on the backpack expires. All the items that person was carrying are then distributed to the zombies in the area, so you can go back to that area, kill the zombies, and potentially find all those items.
Huh. You're thinking that, or is that
No,
something
that's
they
in the
said?
game. They actually have that implementation in now.
They said that if a person was wearing a hat, you'll actually see a zombie wearing that hat
Yeah.
coming after you. When you kill them, you can take the hat.
But it's not just aesthetic items. It's also the like if they've got a crowbar or whatever, you kill them, you'll be able to find a crowbar on the ground near them.
See, that's something I just want to play with. Oh.
Just
I would be willing to load myself up with some stuff and then kill myself so I could see some zombies running around with my hat or my skirt or something. Yeah.
Oh man, all the Santa zombies we're gonna see. Yeah. Yeah. And of all the games, most games I say, well, it's a military war strat sort of thing. So Hanukkah is the holiday that makes more sense. Nope, Zombie Jesus, Christmas makes more sense. H1Z1.
See, I can just see myself getting a Santa hat. I would buy a Santa hat just so I could kill myself and have a zombie wandering around with a Santa hat on. I'd love that.
Try to get a screenshot of it.
Yeah, try to find it. Yeah, that'd be really funny. So it sounds like you actually need a furnace now for metal parts. You can't just mash a bunch of metal bits together in the field and make a ground tamper. You actually need a furnace now.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're coming along with the crafting system.
They said that they are randomly in the world, though, too. We will find the furnaces in the world.
Yeah. And they're saying like some of those outdoorsy encampment-looking places, you'll be able to find them. I see some cat eyes staring from the back there, Chip.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Other side. I just see these two little eyes light up. Oh, hey, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's one of the cats.
That's a really good effect.
That was
Especially because it's dark there. It works really well. So, still a little bit more here. We've been speedrunning. I keep hearing them phone buttons.
That wasn't me.
Oh well. Chucked 556 ammunition in a bonfire before. I wouldn't do that, but I guess you would.
That's a good way of attracting zombies at somebody else's camp.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Throw it in the fire and just take off. Have fun, buddy.
Yeah.
There is going to be a lot of that.
I'm sure. Oh yeah. I mean, once the ramps and everything are going to go in, I'm sure there's going to be a group that all they go out during the late hours when they expect everyone to be asleep and logged off, build a ramp, walk their way into somebody's walled infrastructure, find something to smash the gates down with, and just like steal all the good stuff and then take off with it and make a whole bunch of noise so the zombies come in. And when the people come back in the morning, it's just zombies all over and their base is on fire and just all sorts of terror. That's what you should expect from this game.
Oh yeah, that you have a camp and you go to sleep and you wake up and someone did something like that.
Yeah.
Brought a bunch of zombies to your camp and they split.
Yeah. And I mean, there's some other interesting stuff like the idea of daytime versus nighttime interactions. The idea of finding berries during the day is exponentially easier than finding them at night. So I can definitely see there being tasks that people specifically try to do during the day and specifically during the night, like find shelter, board up, and survive. The hit locations and body damage stuff, that's still in flux. They're still working on it. They're still not sure how much the impact of everything's going to be. Headshots still matter, like with the bows and guns, but how much everything's actually going to take effect in the different areas, we're still not sure up to this point. Cars, I would say the cars still look a little too beat up and dilapidated. Weeks to months after a zombie apocalypse, they're not going to have the rust spots everywhere, even if they've just been sitting out.
Didn't Co ask about the date and Clegg said that they hadn't decided on the date yet.
Yeah, they
I don't
hadn't.
know.
They hadn't decided. It's not 15 years. The last time they said it was weeks to months after.
Yeah,
Um,
but he said that that's still. Oh, he said he didn't know. That's what he said. Is that he's not in on those conversations.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I would like to see some more.
But I think it's I think that's just the way they had started the art, and they just haven't.
I haven't cleaned it all up
recovered from
yet.
that.
Yeah. Could be, because they've talked about all the cars looking different, having different paint jobs and stuff. When the server comes up, one server might have a blue car next to a red car, where in the same place it might be a green car next to a black car. For
I mean,
those
we
same
only
two
have
cars.
one character model, so I mean, I'm not expecting them to do much with the
Oh,
the cars and stuff yet.
For now, yeah, they're working on that stuff for sure. I bet most of the art team's time is being put on making the assets for the level designers and working on the actual the things that you're actually handling, like your weapons and stuff like that.
Yeah, for launch.
Yeah, cleaning
Yeah.
up the dilapidated stuff they can do later, as long as the
Yeah.
cars drive.
I think we already know, or they've already announced that the female model's not even going to be in before early access, and I'm totally fine with that. Just keep it simple for now.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. We know they're going to have a female model in at some point. It's early access. Just give us the game. I'm sure most people will be happier with the early access coming sooner than waiting for a female model. It'd be nice if they started with the female model, but I don't know. Maybe they didn't feel comfortable with that. It took a long time. Well, here's the funny thing. It took a long time before Disney animators really got comfortable doing female animation, because they spent all their time drawing men. So when it came to drawing women, they just weren't able. I'm talking like back in the 20s. They just weren't able to do it very well. So it was very specialized people that were doing a lot of it. And then the last two on my list here, need more high points. I talked about that. Effects of cold weather on the character. We talked about that. So I think we actually.
So somebody asked something about
Climbing up a water tower, which I hadn't thought about, but ladders on a water tower, that could be interesting for trying to get to some high ground.
Yeah, just the little climby things on electrical lines. I mean, you just find power lines, climb up, and wait it out.
No. But, okay.
I don't know. I mean, you're trying to survive. What's worse?
I'm not
trying to-
surviving on a power line. Okay.
Yeah, well, you might have a point. I mean, it depends on how tough those power lines are.
You can try it. Try it. I'm not trying.
I don't mean like on the power line. It's not like any electricity going through it anyway. But those little kind of climbable service ladders you can use to get up them.
I hear you.
Even just to have that as a vantage point to see in the distance would be great.
Yeah, it would be to see like which way you should go. That
Mhm.
would be cool.
Pentapod stealing the cubicles with the straight razor. Krona, you're weird. I'm just going to leave it at that. So we're going to wrap up here. We've got a couple more minutes before we get over the 2-hour mark, and I've got to cut the show in funny ways. So this has been H1Z1 Dead Feature Rant. We've been talking about the live streams this week, the ones from Jericho and CohhCarnage, which have been totally awesome. If you didn't see them, go back through and watch them. And I think Co's going to be back tomorrow morning for a little bit more H1Z1 stream. So be on the lookout for that. So these awesome people with me, returning guest Dygz on screen right, and first time guest here, ChipGM on screen left. It's been awesome having both of you here. It's been plenty of great discussion, and I'm really excited to play H1Z1. I want to say play H1Z1 with you guys. You guys are probably less enthused to play H1Z1 with me, considering the antics that you guys know I'm going to be getting into. So
We'll see.
We'll see. I can only do so much shenanigans by myself. It's having everybody else around that'll really make it
Yeah, he can kill.
engaging. Yes. So, any last things you guys want to say before we wrap up here?
No, it was a blast.
Yeah, it was.
Cool deal. Actually, why don't you guys say where we can find you here? Just a little rundown. Chip, why don't you start?
Well, I do some streaming on Twitch. I don't stream a lot lately because being summertime and kids off, so I've been doing more evening streams. And you can also find me on Twitter. I do a lot of landmark retweeting, and soon H1Z1. As soon as that kicks off, I'll be doing a lot for that too. But mostly like game news and stuff of that sort.
Cool deal. Cool deal.
And I'm mostly on Twitch, but you'll find me in chat for various Landmark and H1Z1 streams, forums, Reddit.
You mean Twitch or Twitter? Because you don't stream.
Twitter, is that what I said?
You
Right?
s-
You'll
you
find
said-
me on Twitter.
To Twitch.
You said Twitch.
Twitter.
I mean, we do find you on a lot of.
I think it's because I see Twitch going under my name, but
Could be.
No, on Twitter, mostly on Twitter.
Yeah,
I don't stream.
but you are very regular in a lot of the channels, though. I see you all over the place. So.
In all the chats.
Yeah, always good to have you around. Well, hey guys, this is it. This is the end of the show. This has been H1Z1 Dead Feature Rant. It's been a great episode here. I'll be putting it up on YouTube here pretty soon. But this is it for the show, so I will see you all later. Thank you all for joining. I know we already took off, but thank you very much once again to Mr. Cycle McHurts. Always a pleasure having you in here. And yeah, I will see y'all folks next week.